because 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I could barely walk. In fact, I had two surgeries back to back in 2016, and at that point in time, I didn't know what was going to happen. And I said, you know what? I've got to keep going. It's embedded in me not to give up. Yeah. So I have to keep going.
Your success and growth all start in your mind. So get ready for another mind shift. Hello and welcome back to the show. If you're just discovering me, my name is Joshua Kangley, and this show is all about positivity, motivation, and inspiration. So if you're looking for any of those, which I think most of us are these days, you've come to the right spot. And I'm so happy to shine a light on people like our next guest coming up momentarily. Before we do, though, if you're wondering, okay, who the heck is Joshua Kangley? Go to www.hellomynameisjosh.com. You can learn more about me there, and also all my podcasts and all my shows are archived right there for you to enjoy anytime you wish. If you have any questions about me, any questions about the show, or any guest that's been on the show, please email me at josh@hellomynameisjosh.com. Or maybe you know someone who should be on the show. Email me, josh@hellomynameisjosh.com. If you haven't yet, please like, share, subscribe for more positive content, more inspirational content, and more awesome guests like our next guest, which I promise we're going to get to just momentarily. Also, turn notifications on. That way we can remind you when a new Mind Shift show does drop. That way you don't miss a single conversation. Now, let's get to our next guest. I just want to say I have never met someone so genuine, so inspirational, so insightful, and so intelligent. Our next guest is someone who I am genuinely super inspired by. He's the author of Rise to the Rhythm. He was the original choreographer to the Backstreet Boys. He also has his own show, which is an unbelievable, very inspirational show as well. We'll get to all of that, but without further ado, let me introduce to you Joey L. Dowdy, AKA Dr. Dancer. Joey, welcome to the show.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to have you on. We talked prior on my other show, the podcast version, and I'm so excited to have you on now to kind of revisit and see where things are because a lot has happened. And, speaking of that last episode, Joey, just want to say that was one of my biggest engagements, biggest podcasts. People seem to really like it. And I think it's because you're so engaging and insightful. So I know this show is going to be great with you on too, because you have a great insight and just a really good outlook on things. So I'm excited. Before we get to all that though, if you could please tell us who Joey is again, remind everybody, people are just discovering the show. So maybe just give yourself an introduction.
Wow. It's interesting when someone will ask me who I am, because I am is a very, very strong phrase and people tend to not take it seriously, but it's very important. So I'll say first, I'm a child of the Almighty God. First, I am the son of a wonderful mother and father. I'm a sibling of 4 brothers and 2 sisters. And I consider myself to be, a person who works in the performing arts in many facets, starting out as a performer, branching into becoming a choreographer, and now a producer and director and host. So, I do a lot of things. I've been blessed to do a lot of things. So I wear a lot of hats at this point in my life, which is wonderful because it means the universe is blessing me because of the gifts that I used in the beginning.
Exactly. You have lived a wonderful so far, just different experiences. We've talked about that the last time, but just kind of before we get into just kind of a COVID check-in with you. How are you doing through all this? Last time we talked, it was right in the middle of all this, things going
Yes.
on, COVID hitting us, and you had a lot of great stuff to say about that. How are you now? How have you been navigating now?
I have been playing by the rules.
Mm,
Thank God that I obtained discipline early on in my life, through the performing arts and what I'm doing. But teaches you how to play by the rules, which I don't see a lot of people doing right now. Social distancing, wearing your mask, and washing your hands and so forth, and doing those simple little things that they're asking us to do. We're a generation that has been blessed with so much, America, by living in America, period. We're a blessed nation, we're blessed people, and we tend to forget that we must abide by the laws of the land. Like the book also says, abiding by the laws of the land, that we're not supermen or superwomen, that we can just do whatever we want whenever we want. And it's a good thing. I'm not saying it's taken the lives of many people. I'm not saying that's a good thing, but it has come to teach us many lessons.
mm.
Some folk will get it, some people will not get it, unfortunately, and it'll hit them or it'll hit someone when they least expect it. So for me, I get that. I can't run around and, wildly like I was going at some point in time and go here and go there and jump around and shop and do all the crazy things I love to do. I can't do those things right now. Neither should anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Quarantine, they say stay away from large crowds. I went, with a friend of mine out recently in Los Angeles, and I basically had to say to him, we can't go to the mall with those large crowds going in. We have to go around the building. We have to do things and stay away. That's what they're asking us to do, and we must obey the rules. So it's tough, and I realize it's difficult for everyone, but that's how we're going to survive and stay alive, period.
Period. Yes. I mean, you talked about it, playing by the rules. People have been telling us what we need to do. And just like you mentioned in the previous podcast together, like
Yeah.
they've been telling us what we should be doing. And the COVID
Yes.
just really gave us a lot of wake up calls to things that we just weren't doing. So,
Yes.
how we are right now, now this might air 2021, but where we're at right now, where do you think you see us going in 2021?
I feel hopeful,
Mm,
particularly with what has happened, and we have a new president that's going into office. I feel like he's a very stable man. He's a very humble man. He knows the difference between me, and taking care of our nation, and taking care of the people that live in our nation, and making connections worldwide that were
mm,
broken.
yes.
So I feel very hopeful that in 2021 that we're really going to make some strides if we abide by the rules. It's tough right now. It's kicking everybody in the wing wang, but we've got to, we have to do that, and we have to listen to those who are in authority. I only know what I know. You only know what you know. And we have to listen to those who are in authority. That's what makes us all grow strong. And that's what makes us unite,
Yes.
and be disciplined to know the difference, that you don't
Yes.
know it all. So I feel very hopeful for 2021. And I'm not going to wait for 2021. I'm doing my thing right now. Who
Exactly.
knows what's going to happen? If we'll be around then. So it's very important to get off the ground now, because we don't know what
Yes.
tomorrow's bring.
Absolutely. Starting right now, like you said, you know, there's been so much division. And you say it's hopeful, and I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. Very hopeful going forward. What do you think we can do to unite? Like you mentioned, unite. What can we do with this division? It, what do you think we need to do to unite?
I think, that's a very good question, because we've been so divided with what's been going on. And we've had a leader that was in there dividing us and saying, and pretending like the COVID-19, the pandemic, what didn't exist. I don't know if it was a ploy or whatever it was he was trying to do. And then the thing with the systemic racism, and not addressing that and not putting that in check when you've been giving the position to do that.
Yes.
People are unsure of what to do. They're unsure of what to do. And I think, luckily and fortunately, it came at a time where it has changed, and the landscape of things have changed. You cannot live the old-fashioned ways like you once were. I don't care, what your theory, what your, philosophy was in the past. America's changing. The landscape looks different. It's a melting pot of all types of people.
Yeah.
It really always has been, but it didn't work out. It wasn't really designed for people of color like me and others. And you have to be honest, because when you look at the wall, you look at the presidents we had, people, it wasn't designed. They didn't really think about us, in alignment with them. That was first. They didn't think about us being in alignment. We were something on the side. We were an afterthought. But you have to have someone, which now I believe we do, who realizes that the landscape has changed and is continually changing, and you have to change with it. You cannot be stuck in those old-fashioned ideas. You have to move with the program and get with the program. So,
absolutely, you're 100% right. The landscape has changed. It's been changed. It's always been that way. And so I think you're absolutely right. I think just acknowledging those things, and there is a sense of hope, a sense of moving forward now. So I'm hoping like we can just unite and like we mentioned before, bring the best out of us into the forefront and work together.
Yes, and I agree with you. And acknowledge what does exist, good or bad. Yes. The book says the master made good and evil. And he did it for a reason, because not necessarily saying that we can conquer it, but through him we can conquer it. But it exists in all of our lives, the good and the bad. And you have to see it, you have to acknowledge it, and you have to put it in check, because that's what we were given lips for. We're given a mind to think beyond it. Mindset, right? We're on the right show. Mindset first. Start with the mind. We were given lips, and then the spiritual authority to rebuke, to remove, or to do whatever if we acknowledge it. We can't pretend like it doesn't exist. It does exist, but ball is in our court. Now, what are you going to do with it? It's in anyone's court at this point in time. What are you going to do with it?
Yes. What are we going to do with it? Yes, absolutely. I love that. And thank you for sharing that. That's so relevant, and we need to acknowledge that. And so that's why I'm just so glad to have you on the show. Now,
thank you.
Behind you, you have your YouTube channel. I see there, and your book. So let's get into those things. Tell us about your show on YouTube that you're doing and what that's all about.
Okay. I started it a few years ago, experienced a groove to improve your life, because there's a misconception of dance, of fitness, of movement, and how it impacts your life. Not everybody likes to dance, but at some point in time, you're going to have to hit that dance floor. So you better have some moves, or else you're going to look like a dud or a dudette. But, on a more, professional level, whatever, people don't. But you need to. But everybody's looking to live their better or best life. Everybody's looking, and you cannot do that without movement. It's movement of the mind, it's movement of the body, and it's a movement of the soul, the spirit.
Love that.
And those things must come into alignment, because that is what helps you to move forward in life, or else you end up stuck in situations like what I talk about in the book that you don't want to be stuck in, and you don't have to be. But if you choose not to move, if you choose not to use your authority, then that's where you're stuck in. So my channel encompasses, like I said, It's basically exercise the mind, not the body first. You got to get your mind together. You got to get your head together and get your head in the game. Exercise the mind, stimulate the body, do things, exercise, dance, movement that makes you feel good. Like I talked about in my last video, it releases feel good endorphins. The movement itself and the exercise, feel good endorphins to help you not just feel good, but to fight anxiety, depression, those things. Which is why I did it and put it in the video, because most people don't know that. They have no idea of what the movement itself can do for you from not just a physical point of view, but from a mental and a spiritual point of view, which is kind of like what I've been working on with the last couple of videos, to show people the whole, the whole spectrum, the scope of what it can do. So my channel is ongoing, and there's some things that you may know, but it's going to be some things you're not going to know, because I like to take you on a journey.
Yes.
And I already have some new things lined up, some things you may expect, and they're going to be things you're not going to expect, which is good. That's what makes it interesting.
Yes, and I love your channel, by the way, and your show. I watched the last one, and it just filled me with energy and inspiration just watching it. And so I found myself getting into a rhythm and wanting to move around more, because that's exactly right. We need that movement in our life. And I also love your book, which I did get, Rise to the Rhythm.
Oh,
And
wow.
I gotta say, it's a really good book, Joy. For one, it's a really good book. I loved it, and I had to get it anyways because I'm from Sioux Falls, and you mentioned Sioux Falls is in there, and indeed it was. And so, no, it's a very good book, and I really love your whole concept about rhythm and the part rhythm plays in our lives. Can you
Yes.
talk more about the book? What inspired you to write that?
It's interesting because when I decided to do, I was talking to a producer years ago. We were sitting at a Jack in the Box, he and I, for one of the shows. I did this pilot for television pilot a few years back. Wasn't more than a few years back, but a while ago, where I played this pirate choreographer, dancer who was stuck in time. He lived back in the pirate days, and he was instructing. He was an instructor, and they were all coming to. It was like a reality show they were going to do. Sort of scripted, unscripted, kind of. They weren't sure which way to go with it, and so I was this pirate choreographer. Very, very. He wanted him to be like the guy, and one of the guys in the movies, Lou Gossett Jr. I think his name is, one of the actors.
Oh, yes.
Who was a militant guy. He did a military part in one of his movies. He wanted me to be very stern, very militant. And actually, when I told him, I said, well, I'm different than the character per se. A little bit of that was with me, but not like what he wanted. I said, but I can pull from a man who was a choreographer and a woman that I knew that was exactly like what he was talking about. So I said, I'll pull from both of them, and I'll create the character. So I created the character, and it was, if it had gone on further, it would have been a huge hit. But you know how things are. Things don't work, and with powers that be, whatever. It didn't work out. But we were talking about the concept of rhythm then, after the pilot, after the show, and he was saying, it'd be neat for someone to write something about rhythm and how it impacts our lives. And I had been thinking about that for years. And so that's where the idea was birthed, with us sitting in a Jack in the Box talking about it. And later on, I started writing chapters and started getting ideas and pulling into some of my experiences. Then it's also derived from, at that point in time, I was going through a very hard time. I was going through a really rough period, which in the book.
Yes.
When you read about it, my life was changing, and then I ended up having to room with this person who was an alcoholic, who was abusive. And I had to take this, mental abuse. It wasn't physical. And so I was going through a number of different things. And then I got into the magazine at that time, well, I don't want to give it away, but the book, then I ended up, getting a spot in one of the magazines. I never thought I would, in the mix of all this craziness going on. So it was a combination of what started with the producer, what was going on with the craziness and the drama in my own life, and how I had to stay on rhythm and stay on point for what it is I wanted to do in the midst of a lot of drama that was going on that I had to fight through.
Yes.
So some of that is in there, but hopefully it teaches you as the reader what you can do. Because there are a lot of shows out there, and there are a lot of things that are out there that are like, look at me, look at, I love these shows, but they're still like, look at me, don't get too close, just look at what I do.
Yeah.
But I said, the reader must know and must be able to walk away from reading this book. I have a blueprint of what I need to do. And they can add to it or take from it. It's going to mean something. Each person is going to mean something different. But that's what I really initially wanted to create. Here's your ticket. Here's your invitation to life. Now, what you gonna do?
Yes. Yes. And I found that when I was reading it, you can take us along on your journey, and to see you, I don't want to give anything away in the book because you got to get it, but for you to overcome that drama and that doubt that someone was putting on you, and that, to overcome that and to be featured in that magazine and to go on to write the book and doing what you're doing is just so amazing, Joey. I mean, you're a true guiding light, and I just want to say thank you. It's so inspiring. It inspired me. It definitely did.
Wow, I'm so thrilled, and that is why I do what it is I do. Yeah. Hopefully that it will inspire someone else, and it will lift them a little higher, give them insight to to be their best. So that's what I do. That's why I do what I do.
Yes. Now, so let's talk about where can we find your book, Rise to the Rhythm, and where can we find your show as well?
Well, you can get Rise to the Rhythm at Amazon, or you can go to, I think it's on a number of different, Barnes and Noble, Kobo. I think it's a Canadian site. So it's basically worldwide. It's not just exclusive with Amazon, but if you choose to want to go other places, you can get it too. And of course, JoeyLDowdy.com is my website where you can get all the current information and things yet to be. And the YouTube show, just insert my name or Experience the Groove to Improve Your Life channel, or just my name and pull up the shows.
Yes, we'll put all the links in the description so we can find you and get to know you more. I have to ask, what is your why, Joey? What is your why, or what inspires you to do all that you're doing?
Why? That's a good one. What is my why? My why at this point in my life is because I've been given another chance. Because 5 years ago, I could barely walk. I had 2 surgeries back to back in 2016, and at that point in time, I didn't know what was going to happen. And I said, you know what? I've got to keep going. It's embedded in me not to give up. Yeah. So I have to keep going. Is it because I felt like it wasn't over for me? I had a lot more to say and do. So I said, it's my responsibility, because I stand on the shoulders of so many people, so many Black people, so many people of color who did not have the opportunity that I have. And when God gave me the ability to be able to do it again and give it all back, the dance and the movement, and because I told you I couldn't barely walk, and then I had another surgery, and that could have, any one of those things could have taken me out completely. I could have been gone, but I've been given an opportunity to get it together and to get it right, and to pursue and to do those things that so many people, were not able to do. And I realize, is one of the whys, I realize now, not so much then, that I found out that the gift to be a movement or a dancer came from my father. It was not, my father's been dead for a very long time. And this is the strange thing. He never, ever showed it. I never saw him move in the least bit, nowhere, at a party, at nothing. no, I never saw my father dance. And I was told from Memphis, Tennessee, by my sister, my mother didn't even say anything, that he was an outrageous dancer,
Wow.
winning contest after contest after contest. And my sister said my mother, when she came to Memphis, you know, she had heard about him. And that was one of the reasons I think she came. Well, I got to check out this cat that they're talking about. I don't know if it was swing dance. I don't know what it was. And I never, ever knew this until recently. I said, what? Are you kidding me? He played guitar. He was a great guitarist player, but never knew that he had that talent in him. So my why is I have to pursue it. I
Mm,
have to pursue what God has given me to do because he's given me another chance. It's not a shoulda, a coulda, or a woulda. It's a
mm.
must for me. So that is why.
That's impactful, Joey, really is. And it's so fascinating that you never knew that about your father until recently. And here you are, like doing what you're doing. That is just so fascinating. And I'm glad that you kept going because now we have you as a guiding light, inspiring so many of us. And I'm just so thankful for you, Joey. You're a true guiding light.
Thank you. I try my best.
Now I'm going
Thank
to
you.
leave you the last word. Do you have any, what else? Do you have anything else you'd like to say at all to the audience today?
My question is to you, why did you start um, the show? I mean, what is your, that's my why to you. Why
Wow.
did you start a show like this?
That's a really good question, Joey. I was just thinking of this today, actually, and I realized the answer, and it's I love people. I love people. I love the human spirit, and it doesn't matter to me who you are. You know, I just really love people, and I love to hear their stories. What makes them tick, what makes them inspired, and the reasons why they do what they do. It's always been something I've been fascinated by. And I was thinking about this earlier. So it's crazy that you asked me this. About 13 years old, I had made a list of things I wanted to ask people. And then from that point on, a bunch of series of tragic events happened in my life, and we won't go into all that stuff, but I became lost. I became a very lost person, and it wasn't until 2017, Joey, that I kind of regained myself again. I found myself again, and I wanted to keep the conversations going. And I realized this is what I need to be doing. I need to be talking to people, keeping those conversations going, and finding out, because in that I find myself. So,
Mm,
yeah.
very
So,
interesting.
yeah, I'm
It's very
glad we got.
well. I mean, I that's great, and I think you must do what you feel compelled to do. And one more thing I just wanted to say, we didn't really touch on it, but I've been to Sioux Falls, like what you read
Yes.
about in my book. And what happened to me in Sioux Falls was a very life-changing event. What
Yes.
happened to me was life unexpected. Be prepared for life's unexpected things. It was unexpected, but it was life-changing, really, what
Wow.
happened.
And when I read
And
that portion, I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I was really taken back, and I really was taken aback by that. So, I mean, maybe that's why I am the way that I am. I want people to do better. We can do better for everybody, and I just was like, "Whoa, yeah,
yeah,
couldn't believe that."
yes, I mean it's interesting, but it was life changing. I mean, there's several things there that are life changing, but that was one of them. It was one of the things that I'll never forget when I went to Sioux Falls and I encountered that. That I'll never forget.
Wow, wow, yeah. Well, Joey, thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't thank you enough. Thank you for being on the
Yes.
show today and sharing more your story and about you with me today.
All right. Same to you. Thank you for allowing me to be on the mind shift.
Yes, thank you, and I hope to have you on again another time.
Yes, definitely. We must do it again. We
Okay.
must dance again.
Yes.
We can't just have one dance. We have to have another dance.
Sounds good. Okay. Thank you,
All right.
Joey.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Wow. As always, what a great conversation with Joey. Joey, one more time, thank you so much for being on my show today and sharing your story and sharing your passion with us all. I'll be sure, as always, to include links in the description where you can find more about our guest today, Joey. Joey, you're a true guiding light, and your light really shines from within. And that's why you inspired me so much. And again, I'm just so thankful for you to be on my show. Thank you for watching, listening, and tuning into my show today. What do you think? What do you think of Joey's story? Please comment. I read and reply to every single comment. So please tell me what you thought of today's show. If you're still wondering, though, who the heck is Joshua Kangley? Please go to www.hellomynameisjosh.com. There you'll see me, learn more about me, and also you'll find all my podcasts and shows archived for you and your watching or listening pleasure anytime you wish. And if you have any questions about me, any questions for the show, or any guests like our guest Joey today, or if you think you know someone who should be on the show, email me, josh@hellomynameisjosh.com. I can't say thank you enough to all my guests who've been on the show. I learned from each and every one of you. I'm inspired by each and every one of you. And I'm just so honored and blessed to be able to share these stories of people, these people who I call guiding lights, because they truly are. And I've learned so much from Joey and all my guests on my show. So guys, everyone, all my guests, please know I appreciate you so much. You'll never know how much I appreciate you. Also, you'll never know how much I appreciate you for tuning in and watching the show. I hope that you are liking it. If you do, please comment. Like, what do you think so far about the show? What are you liking about the show? What are your takeaways? Who's your favorite guest? Anything, please go ahead and comment. I will, like I said, respond and reply to each and every single one. Guys, thank you so much. It's been a ride so far. Stay tuned because we have so much more to come in the future. As always, my name is Joshua Kangley. Until next time, I'll talk to you later.